Before we start the hip lifts, let's talk about posture. It's very important to maintain the correct posture when doing your hip lifts from either position. The things you want to remember are, of course, keeping the hip tucked in, that's very important, as well as maintaining the micro bend in your knees. So, when I bend my knee, I stay in this position while I do my hip lift for the entire range of motion. I don't straighten up and bend over and over and bob up and down like this, okay? So remember, maintain your posture. Keep your micro bend, keep your tuck. Now we've done hip lifts from two postures. One, regular, facing the audience as I'm standing now, and the other from the goddess position. So we'll first start with the forward version. We've done 3 hip lifts from this position. 1 goes forward. When we do the forward hip lift, our working leg comes forward in front of the body, bending the knee, tucking the hip in, and lifting the hip towards the front of the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You want to remember not to twist the hip when you do the forward hip lift. You also want to remember that you keep the knee bent so that you don't pop up and down. You stay at one level and the hip does the work, going forward and not twisting like this. The second hip lift from this position is the hip lift to the side. So you're going to micro bend the knees, tuck the hip in, and take the foot out to the side, resting on the side of the foot, not kicking the heel out like this, but staying on the side of the foot, all the weight straight down the supporting side of your body, no leaning. Some people like to lean, keep it straight. The movement goes towards the working hip, out to the side and return to start, out to the side and return to start, out to the side and return to start. When you do this movement, control it so that when you hit and return, you stop straight instead of hitting and going over all the way to the opposite side. So not this is wrong, this is correct. Now, things you want to remember when you're doing this side hip lift. Keep your weight straight down on the supporting side of the body. No leaning, no twisting, and remember to keep that micro bend in the knees. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back together. Remember as well, when the hip hits out to the side, it leaves the frame of your body, goes outside, wider than the shoulders, and returns to center. The final hip lift from this posture we're going to look at is the hip lift to the back. A nice way to get into this posture is if you were doing a side hip lift, you turned away from the working hip. So working hip is on the left and turning away from it. And bending the knee, tucking the hip in. And then I'm going to squeeze the glutes and the hamstrings for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and pivot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember to use your muscles, squeeze the hamstrings, squeeze the butt. Do not do any of these movements by pushing from your knee. It's not going to look good, and it's also going to damage your body over time. Use your muscles, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your hamstrings, and squeeze your obliques. Alright, so moving on to the second posture, that's the goddess posture. Reminding you how to get into goddess. You face your audience 90 degrees in the feet. placing the working leg in the arch of the supporting foot, going out diagonally, sitting, tucking the hip in. We also have the same three directions from this posture. So we have hip lift to the side, back, and forward angle. Starting with the hip lift to the side. Instead of the hip leaving the frame of the body, as with the other side hip lift, this hip lift comes up towards your body. So you squeeze the butt, you squeeze the hamstring, and you lift the hip up towards your armpit. Lift, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, change, and lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and return. It's very important when in goddess position, particularly, to keep the micro bend in the knee and not pop up and down. Okay? So, the next lift from the goddess position we'll do is to the back. You're using the same muscles as before. You're squeezing the buns, you're squeezing the hamstring, and you're lifting that hip up behind you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And back to the front. Perhaps the most difficult of the hip lifts from the goddess position is the forward angle hip lift. Getting into position once more. The forward angle hip lift lifts the hip forward, but also with a twist this time, so that your hip goes across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, change, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So those are all of the hip lifts that we've worked on. Especially with the forward angle hip lift, you can try to practice it standing straight so that you understand what your hip is doing. Twist, twist, twist. Twist, twist, twist. Twist, twist, twist. Twist, twist, twist. Practice these moves, they're very important, and they're some of the most fundamental movements that we use in this dance. The next video to come up, we'll just be covering all the little extras that we've done in terms of accent movements. See you then.